Even though the issue is not really before you tonight, whether or not a residency requirement makes sense, I do want to address a couple of issues that I wasn't planning on addressing, but was mentioned in the paper, and Mr. Mayor made some comments tonight. I have problems with where you're coming from when it comes to the question of cost. I don't see that cost because your argument, well formulated and articulated, has a couple of assumptions that I can't accept. One of those assumptions is that we will have to reward people or pay the unions for this residency requirement, that we'll have to, I think in your words, where we'll have to buy their agreement to this new residency requirement. That bugs me a lot because it assumes that having to live in my town, having to live in Springfield, is a terrible burden, that it's an awful thing, that we're going to have to pay somebody extra to live in Springfield. I don't like that assumption. It assumes that the firemen and the policemen don't want to live here. They really don't want to be here, and if you're going to make me live here, you're going to have to give me more money. I don't accept that. They may say that, that may be their argument, but I think it's a scary argument if you think about who these people are. I don't want my policemen and my firemen and my city workers to dislike their town so much that they come in and say, hey, if you want me to work for you and have to live under this new residency rule, you're going to have to pay me more. That bothers me a lot. And another argument, another assumption in that argument that I can't quite grasp is the idea that just because the unions ask for it, they get it. As Your Honor pointed out, these are negotiations, and the idea of negotiating.
Your 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gates, though, I would take the opportunity to mention that, number one, you have to keep in mind this will not affect existing employees. This would only be for new hires. Number two, under the collective bargaining process, typically as you sit at a bargaining table, anytime you want something, you are going back and forth. And I tell you that I have enough experience in terms of bargaining that generally the unions don't give you something for nothing. They want something in return, and that is exactly the process that would have to take place with all 23 unions.
And my point was going to be that I don't get the idea that we have to give it to them. Why do we have to say yes? I've been in a lot of union negotiations myself, as have you. You can say no. It's a negotiation. I don't think it's an assumption that if they ask for more money because of a residency requirement, we have to give it to them. That's the only argument I'd make.
But for police and fire, we're under binding arbitration by state statute.